All right. And I think we are live.
Yes, welcome. Yes. Yeah, let's get going. Welcome everyone to C9&Friends webinar. My name is Michaela and I'm marketing coordinator at Cloud9.
Great. Hello, everyone. I am Mikael Östling. I work as a senior key account manager here at Cloud9. So happy to see a lot of people still dropping in. So we have attendees from both Sweden and Finland. So that's super exciting. We have a interesting topic ahead of us.
Yes, really. So this is the first of 4 webinars that we will have during this webinar series every Wednesday at 11, 4 weeks ahead. And you can find everything about it on our website to find out the other events that will come next week and so on. Yes.
Yeah, and the idea behind these webinars, we call them Cloud9&Friends, is that we have invited in the upcoming 2 seminars, we have invited some of our platform partners. But the general theme throughout these 4 webinars is about e-commerce, modern e-commerce, and with a strong focus on headless e-commerce. I've been in the business for a long time. I've seen we've gone from very monolithic platforms, solid solutions to nowadays we build quite a lot with headless, composable architecture, where you pick the best of the breed platforms. And these seminars is about sharing our thoughts and knowledge about this. And
Yeah, and stay tuned because we have a special giveaway in the end of this.
Don't leave the screen.
Yeah, and
So let's. I think we should get going. So first out is Camilla Sundberg.
Yes, and Camilla is Cloud9's own creative director and head of design. And yeah, so Camilla, enter the stage.
Yeah. All right.
Hello. So I guess I'll get started, if that's okay with you guys.
Of course, the stage is yours.
Then I'm gonna share my screen. Whoop. All right. Hi everyone, my name is Camilla Sundberg, and today I would like to talk a little bit about how you can create a better user experience with a headless approach. And before I get going, just super short about me. I work as creative director and head of design at Cloud9. I've been here for a little bit more than 5 years, but I've been working with digital design for more than 10 years now. I've been teaching at Bergs School of Communication within UX and design, and I'm also part of the jury for the publishing prize. But let's get started. So, as you all know now, I'm a designer. My goal is to create the best user experience for our end users, find out their wants and needs, and fulfilling those in a very good way. But if you don't take into account the technical part of it, you might find it difficult to create all the best solutions for your end users, especially long term. So today I would like to focus on the tech part of it with a user experience approach and mostly talk about the headless approach. But let's start with defining what headless actually is. So headless is about using different technologies for the front end and the back end, and that will give you a more flexible solution. And in that sense, you will have more control of your content, and you can also cherry pick the best platforms and solutions for your specific needs. And if I should explain this a little bit more in detail, we need to take a step back. Because a more traditional way of building a platform is to use a monolith platform. And a monolith platform is a platform where everything is already predefined. So the front end and the back end is built together. And it can be quite difficult to buy into a platform that is supposed to fulfill all your wants and needs, both today and tomorrow? How can you choose that? So on the other hand, we had the headless approach, where we actually separate the front end from the back end. So we will have a much more flexible solution. And when it comes to the flexibility, we can also add on loads of different platforms and solutions that will fulfill our wants and needs. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about 3 advantages from having this kind of setup: flexibility, speed, and best of breed. And to be able to do this in a very visual way, I've actually come up with a fictional case. So I just made up a company and I named it Picky Alice. So I will use Picky Alice as an example throughout the seminar to, in a visual way, explain the benefits. So Picky Alice is a company selling clothing and accessories to mostly females in the age group 18 to 35 years old. They sell their own brand in their own channels. So I'm going to use this one throughout the seminar. So let's start with flexibility. And let's start by using Picky Alice as an example. So we've launched the e-commerce. We've had a headless approach, so we separated the front end from the back end, and everything looks great. And when we've launched the site, we can now start tracking the site, see how the users actually uses the sites. And let's just make up some numbers. Let's say that 80% of the returning customers are using the site through their mobile phone. So we could, since we have this headless approach, in quite an easy way, expand to new channels. So let's say that we decide on going ahead with building a native app. And since we do not have the front end and the back end combined, instead we have them separated, we can instead reuse the back end and all the content that we already created. And that means that we don't need to rebuild everything from scratch. Instead, we have already things predefined. And this is a great thing to be able to get up to speed and reach to new markets and new channels in a very fast pace. And I'm going to give you another example. Let's say that Picky Alice decides to actually launch a physical store. Then we could reuse the same backend and the same content, and for example, create a new front-end app for the in-store screens. So we reuse the content, but we might want to have another layout. So this is really a advantage when having this kind of setup, because then we can meet our end users in their channels they want and need. And we can be very fast out to market with these front-end applications. And pretty much also it could be a cost effective since we already have the backend and the content in place. So to summarize this chapter, we can easily adapt to the end users' wants and need. We can easily scale up and be fast to market with new channels. We do not need to rebuild everything from scratch. We can instead reuse the things we already got. And this is really an advantage for the editors as well, because we will only have one master. Instead of having to keep track of different CMSs for the content, we'll have one master and we only push it out to different front-end applications. The next thing I would like to talk a little bit about is speed. And most of you guys have probably heard this. 40% of the users will leave the site if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. But speed can be applied to many more things than just how long it takes to load a page. For example, we can apply speed to how long it takes to launch new features and designs. And again, I'm going to give you some examples. Let's say that from an inside perspective, Picky Alice decides to launch a new brand guideline. And since the front end is separated, we can, in a very fast pace, push out these changes and, for example, add on a new graphic profile. And since we do not change anything on the backend, we can easily push out these changes in a very fast pace. And this is actually something that I find as a little bit, not maybe as a trend, but a lot of companies out there are pushing their profiles and even going digital first. So instead of the more traditional way, where you almost like added on the graphic profile for the web, you're now starting with web and making sure that the fonts and the logo and everything works on the screen. And this is something that our clients at Cloud9 are doing as well. One client of us, Benz, they were redoing their profile just a while back and went from this to this. And since they have a headless approach, it's super easy to just push out these changes because we don't change anything in the backend or the content. We're purely changing the front-end layer. I'm going to give you another example, and this is a more outside-in example. You see, a couple of years ago, it was super trendy to place the most important call to action in the bottom of the page on your mobile experience. So on e-commerces, you had the call to action to buy something in the bottom of the page. And from a UX perspective, this was super, because you wanted to place the most important call to action in reach where your thumb could reach it. But as you all know, then suddenly iPhone X came along and we didn't have a physical home button anymore. So suddenly our most important call to action were interfering with the home button of the screen. But if you have a headless approach, we can super easy push out design changes like this as well. So in this case, one client of us, Våla Magasinet, we pushed out changes for a better layout to not interfere with the floating home bar for the phone. And I spoke to one of my front-end colleagues, and he said that if you go with a headless approach, pushing out changes, design changes like this, it could take like 15 minutes if you have the headless approach. And compare that with a more traditional platform, the monolith version, it could take about a couple of hours. So this is really a good way of showing that speed can be applied to more than just loading times for when you visit a web page. So to summarize this chapter of speed, you can push changes and implement design ideas quicker. We can adapt to technology's changes, but also behavior. And we can do this in a very fast pace. And of course, design is business crucial. And also one extra point here, but you will have a better SEO if you have a fast loading time. So the third thing I would like to talk about is best of breed. And I usually start with this. One size does not fit all. Because if you pick and buy into a more monolith platform where most of the things are already predefined, how can you make sure that that platform will fit your wants and needs both today, but also in the future? So let's talk about some examples again. If you go with a more headless approach, and in this case, we launch Picky Alice with on the platform, the headless approach, we might go ahead with a more standard out-of-the-box search function. But then when we go along and we can start tracking the users, let's make up some numbers. Let's say that 67% of all the customers interacted with the search. Then we might go ahead and decide to take in a third-party solution that is specialized in just the search functionality. And then we can meet the customers and make their journey on the site even better. So then we can have a search functionality there where you can find examples, products, pages, and so on, even campaigns and whatever you would like to. And the nice thing here is when you have the headless approach, the whole idea is to have a very slim version and then add on the things that you really need, and also track this towards your users. So if we have users that are interacting with the search, of course, we need to have the best solution to meet their wants and needs. Another example that is a little bit less technical and more like inspirational is that we can also add it to inspirational parts. I guess all of you knows that all of our users, they are not just browsing our site. They are everywhere out on the internet. They are visiting Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And to be able to be where they are, we also need to be in those channels. So to be able to create a more inspirational site, we can use third-party solutions, for example, user-generated content. And what is user-generated content? User-generated content is, for example, posts on Instagram. So there are platforms that allow us to find content where we are tagged. We can ask permission, and then we can use those images and videos on our own site. So for example, adding a block for images from Instagram, we can also tag them with the products that we sell. And this is a very nice way of evolving and also making sure that our target group, they are in different channels and that we are pushing them to our e-commerce. And also this is a great way for editors, because most of our clients have the same challenge. They know that their end users want more videos and images and so on to be able to understand the product they're buying. And by using third-party solutions like, for example, Flowbox, you are able to show even more content. And the best of all is this content is created by real users. So some advantages from best of breed. And one really good thing is that you can cherry pick the best solutions for your wants and needs. It's more flexible because you can try it and evaluate it. And if it works for you, you can keep it, or you might change to something else. The whole idea with a headless approach is that you could be more flexible and try out new trends. Because technology, it is trendy. For example, right now, it's very trendy to try out live shopping. So they are really good platforms that are specialized in just those things. So instead of building something from scratch on your own, let's use the best ones out there. And also, another thing that you can add on to the previous chapter as well. If you buy into a more monolith solution where everything is more predefined, you will probably get things that you do not want or do not need. But still, every time you load a page, you will still load all of that code that's in that package. If you go with a more headless approach, you will probably have a little bit lighter version, but you will only add on the things that you want and need. And therefore, you will probably have a faster loading time only by using a headless approach. So some of you guys who are listening today might be like, ugh, so she's saying that I not just need to pick one platform, I should pick multiple platforms and evaluate them and find the best ones for me. How am I supposed to do that? But I guess that's where we come in, because we are working with a lot of different clients, and many of these clients have the same challenges. And we as an agency, we are here to help you evaluate and pick the best solutions for your company that works both today, but also long term. So I think that is a very good setup, and also that you get loads of inspiration and also learn from different clients. So that's something that we proactively will take into the project. So to summarize this seminar, I've been talking a little bit about flexibility, that we need to meet the users' needs in their channels. And one good thing about having a headless approach is that we can reuse both backend and content. So we don't need to build everything from scratch. And we can have one master of content, which is awesome for our editors. I also spoke about speed, that we can push out design changes in a very fast pace. And we can also adapt to everything out there, because we have to adapt to everything because we're not living in a vacuum. And I also spoke about best of breed, that we can really cherry pick the best solutions for us, because there is no such thing as one size fits all. And the nice thing about having this approach is that you can pick something, we can evaluate it and try it, and then we can come to the conclusion whether to pick it, to keep it, or to change it to something else, or even remove it. So thank you guys for listening. It was a pleasure. And if you have any more questions, my colleagues Michaela and Mikael, they will take over from here. And do feel free to add me on LinkedIn if you want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilla.
All right. Thank you a lot, Camilla. That was really interesting. Yeah, as Camilla told you guys, we are here to help you. And Michaela, you will post a couple of links in the chat. So if you want to talk, if you are interested about headless architecture, if you want to talk about that, or if you want to talk about how you can enhance your user experience on your own e-commerce solutions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can book a meeting with me or with my colleague, Johan Casall, with the links that we're now sharing.
Yes. So yeah, I'm putting them in the link right in this chat right now. So there you have like slots where you could, pick what time suits you. And also this webinar will be recorded, so you could also go in afterwards and check this out if there's something you want to look back to what Camilla just shared with us. But yeah, so now till the giveaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So those that and I can see that we still have a lot of attendees, tuned in. That's great. So we will actually have a little giveaway.
Yes.
And we have one of our beloved clients is Dermosil. It's a Finnish skincare brand, and they have been sponsoring us a little bit. So we have a couple of nice product packages. So let's start with this one.
Yes, so we have been, during Camilla's wonderful presentation, we've just took a name from a jar basically. And so the first winner we have.
This is a kind of licorice soap and some licorice, a nice package.
Super good, and it's some candy in as well, so it's a special treat. But the first winner is Ulrika J, and so we will contact you and ask for your address.
So Ulrika J, one comes to you, and then
we also have Fredrik P.
All right, Fredrik, you will get some licorice soap.
Yes.
And then we will also give away 2 of this, another package. This is, I think,
chamomile.
I think it's cardamom.
Yeah, cardamom.
Yeah. So 2 of these, and who are the lucky winners?
Then we have Temu K and Vendela S.
All right, congratulations. This will come by post.
Yeah.
From Korsnäs in Finland.
Yes. And we, as I mentioned, we will contact you and ask for the address.
All right.
But thank you all for participating. And as we said before, this is the first of our 4 webinars that we will have during this webinar series. And if you want more information, you can find it on cloud9.se, and you can also register there as well. And the next webinar is on next Wednesday.
So next Wednesday, the same time, same place. Please tune in as we are going to go a bit more techie, on the techie side.
Yes.
Next week, we will have 2 of our partners. First up is Centra.
Yes.
It's a headless, very interesting headless e-commerce platform. And then we have from Austria, Storyblock.
Yes.
which is also a headless CMS, which is a very interesting solution. And those two platforms play very well together.
Yeah.
So please join us next week as well.
Yeah, and Center will go first, and it's around this 30 minutes around, and then Centra will start right after. So it's the same register link.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in, and have a nice day.
Yeah. See you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.